Welcome to this week's video. This week I get some work done on my vehicle, specifically the Goldwing and the Volvo. That's about all I do this week. Let's get right into it with the Volvo. I need to clean up the camping gear first so I can get the Volvo in here and get its parts thrown on. We might get to the Goldwing if I have the ambition / time, but I'm really discouraged on that thing. So we'll see if we actually make it there. Let me show you what parts I have. So for the Volvo, we have a fuel filter. We have spark plugs. We have a fuel pressure sensor, and the issue that I'm chasing today is a little bit of a surging effect. When you have the pedal to the metal, it kind of pulses and surges, and I don't think it's a transmission issue. I hope it's not a transmission issue. And when I looked it up, it said it could be a few of these things, so I just got all of them in one order, make it easy. Probably use them by now after 125,000 miles. But anyways, let's get started and get some parts thrown on. The first thing that I didn't actually mention is an oil cap gasket. Apparently these notoriously go bad and leak oil. I don't really think mine's been leaking that much oil, but I picked this up with all the other stuff, and it's supposed to be made out of a different material, so it'll last longer and not leak as much. You know, they might have had a point. This thing is pretty darn brittle. That thing's done. Here's our new one, which of course is very pliable and flexible. Job one done. That was easy. Now we got to move on to the more involved stuff. This stuff is just for my next oil change. This is a tool to get the little cartridge holder off, since this uses a reusable cartridge holder thing and then an insertable filter. And so that's to get that off. That was like $40 for Volvo. This is just an oil filter that I picked up while I was in the shop for the next oil change. See if I can manage not to lose those by the time I need them. I don't know which order we should do this in. Kind of tempted to do the fuel filter first, so let's just do that. Ah, there it is. Oh, jeez. Oh, we got it. We got it. All right. We might lose some fuel here, so. God, that was a pain in the ass. Should be a lot easier to put back on though, because it just should snap on. I don't know if you can see that, but that was some freaking murky brown stuff. That does not seem good. Yeah, that was not clean fuel coming out of that filter. All right, well, that job is done. Look at this. This is our new part. There's our old part right there. So all this stuff is just going to be dead simple in the engine bay here. Well, that's quite a lot of fuel. I knew that was going to happen, and I just did not prepare, and that is on me. That was stupid. I should have at the very least had a few rags in there. Hopefully that doesn't hurt any of the rubber down there too much. Don't be like me. Release the fuel pressure. The funny thing is, I don't know if it's that funny, is that I sort of already did that by doing the fuel filter back there, but then I had to go and start the stupid car and it built fuel pressure again. So just really dumb all around. All right, old one out. There's not really any way to tell if it's bad, but it's out. This is a Volvo OEM part though, and so that makes me think that it could be original, so it probably needed replacing. The one that I bought is the same part number. You can see both of them up there at the top say Bosch, but this one just says Volvo down at the bottom, so no reason to spend. I think it was like an extra $200 for the Volvo logo right there, and I ain't about to spend that. Shout out to IPD for offering both though. So now all I need to do is get this plug back in. However, the little rubber gasket thing here has gone all squishy and is not cooperating. I don't know if that's just because it had gas spilled on it, which it very well might be. Well, I managed to get it plugged in. I think the gasket will probably be just fine in there. If anything, it's doing a better job of sealing, right? No, probably not, right? Anyways, that's in there. Now we just got the spark plugs left to do. And because this is a longitudinally mounted, is that the right word? Anyways, it's mounted this way. Spark plugs are just across the top like this, all 5 of them, which I love. I've never had to put an odd number of spark plugs in a car before. And these are Volvo genuine parts. Apparently people say the Volvo ones are the ones you should get. I don't know how true that is, but I got them. They weren't really all that much more expensive than different brands, so why not? And like I said, we've got 5 of them here. I love it. Of course, I'm very familiar with this part from when I did the timing belt. The little plastic wrap stuff, the cable shielding, is completely disintegrating. And as I'm looking in here, I noticed that some parts of it fell into the little coil spot. It's not in the cylinder yet, obviously, as I haven't pulled the spark plug, but that would not be good. So I'm gonna go grab a vacuum, get that stuff sucked out of there. That looks to have done the trick. Ugh, a stupid pipe in the top here is really inconvenient. That could very well be my issue. Look at the point on the new one versus the point on the old one. This very well could be my issue too. I'm glad I'm doing all of this maintenance. Yeah, and they're just all like that. They just all have no point left on them. Let's get these new ones dropped in here. Oh man, I'm gonna vacuum these out one more time. I see some more debris down there. All right, that is looking much better. All right, let's find the torque spec and actually do these to spec, since I didn't do them to spec on the Goldwing and now it won't start. I don't know if that's the issue, but it's something for thought. 30 Newton meters. Let me go grab my torque wrench. All right, I guess it's time to make sure it still works again, though I can't imagine why it wouldn't. But I also said that about the Goldwing, so let's see what happens. Might just need fuel pressure. There we go. There we go. Runs great. All right, before we do a test drive, you'll remember that when I was aligning this car, I saw a lot of power steering fluid dripping off of the skid plate. Hopefully it's just something here that we bumped when we were doing the timing belt, because you have to move this thing out of the way. But more severely, it could be the power steering pump, which I believe is this thing. Just at a glance, I don't see anything really wet, but I'm gonna have to take a little look and see. It's definitely wet down there. Oh no, is it leaking from the steering rack? That would be just about, I think, the worst place it could be leaking from. Let me crawl under and make sure I still see fluid under there. Oh man, yeah, it is soaked under here. And it really looks like it's coming from the steering rack. So I think we have our diagnosis. I'm gonna just choose to ignore it for now. I'm gonna look up how bad of a job it is though, because I do not think it's gonna be fun. Oh God, this is a huge job. That sure is the subframe that's coming down. That is just about as bad as news as I could get today. For now, I'm gonna practice what they call in the software engineering industry, the Ostrich Algorithm, which is a very complex algorithm. You bury your head in the sand. That said, let's take this thing on a test drive and see if the pulsing issue is gone. Maybe we'll go on a test drive to pick up some power steering fluid. Well, that is a win that I needed. The issue seems to be completely gone. I don't know which of those 3 things it was. I'm willing to bet the fuel filter, because that thing was gross. But I'm sure the spark plugs also helped, and hey, maybe the sensor did too. Pretty easy work, and it seems to be completely fixed. However, I did notice some new terrible noises coming from the steering rack, so that is not fixed. Let's hope the Ostrich algorithm works out for at least a while. Now the question is, do I want to redo the spark plug job on this stupid thing today? The answer is obviously no, but the question is, I guess, will I redo the spark plugs on this thing today? And you know what I just realized? I don't want to work on this thing so much that I'm actually going to clean up after I complete a job instead of waiting until I need my shop space again. Let's tidy up. I'm actually excited to do this. I'm not really, but it sounds better than trying to work on this thing. I tried a bunch of stuff to get this thing started, and what eventually did the trick was jumping it off the old while using carb cleaner, and I also determined that the spark plugs weren't the issue due to this. We're going to leave off right after I got it started and did some troubleshooting. Say is that it's running lean. What I did is I was just holding it at full throttle because it seems to bog down at full throttle, and then I squirted some carb cleaner in there and it revved right up. So I'm thinking it's running lean. That could be a fuel filter. It's right there on top, easy to check. Let's pop it off really quick. Oh, fuel everywhere. again. Seems like I've dealt a lot with fuel today. They say you should be able to blow through this thing easily. Doesn't taste very good, but you can blow right through it, so I don't think this is the bad part. Now I just gotta figure out which way it goes back on. Alright, I checked the footage. It's supposed to go this way. Let's see if it'll start again now that it's been running. After a lot more troubleshooting and messing around on the internet, I thought I might try and throw the airbox back on and see what that would do. Okay, so that's interesting. I probably should have tried that sooner. I saw people on some of the threads I was reading saying that it wouldn't run quite right without the air filter on. And so I just put it on without the screws and, well, it revs right up. So let me put this thing back together and then give it a ride. Well, now that it's not raining and before I bolt the seat down, I'm just gonna go give it a quick little test ride and see if it still does the thing at half throttle where it doesn't like to rev. Start right up, I promise. Well, I guess this is why it has the robust side stance. How the hell am I gonna get this thing back up? Oh, Jesus. It's heavier than I thought. Yeah. Some kid just rode past, looked at me, said, yeah, and then didn't offer to help. Oh, God, that just doesn't happen, man. I tried to pick it up quite a few times to no avail, and eventually decided I have to wait for my partner Leah to show up and just help me get over that last hump. I was just so very close. I guess while we wait for Leah, I can give some excuses. I was turning, started to tip, tried to turn further to correct it. Didn't have enough steering. That's my number one excuse. I should know how to do better than that. I do know how to do better than that. I just, you know, it happens when you're not thinking, and I wasn't thinking. I was thinking about how I'm gonna have to put it in reverse, gonna have to back it into the shop, how's the camera positioned. So yeah, actually I do have lots of excuses, just none of them are very good. I guess I can give you a summary of the ride while I wait. It went well, it seems to be running a little better for sure with the air filter and the plugs. It doesn't hesitate as much on half throttle. It still is fast as hell. I cannot believe how fast it goes. I think that's about all I have to say. We gotta wait for Leah. I'll have to keep this in mind if I ever wanna do any work on this side of the bike. It makes it much more accessible. I can almost get it on my own, but I just can't quite. Got it up there? No, just, no, it's up, just hold it steady. That was not as good as it has been, but it also was on its side. And this is when the next issue with the Goldwing popped up. Reverse isn't really working. I press the button, it goes about a couple of inches, and then it just quits. It's not going. So I had to ride it forwards into the shop, and so let's move on to another day when I try to diagnose that issue. Alright, so I've got only the highest of quality switch for this motorcycle. It's actually kind of tricky to find a switch that doesn't have a light in it, and so that's definitely what I wanted since this will rarely be used. Hold up, let me start at the beginning. I recently wired in a relay that turns off the headlight when you hit the starter button. It's supposed to do that from the factory, but some quote-unquote mechanic modified the wiring very poorly earlier, and I didn't feel like doing the whole job of restoring it to factory, but I also wanted the extra voltage so it would start better. That comes from turning off the headlight while you're starting a bike. That's why they do it, I assume. So the conclusion I've come to is that reverse isn't working because my relay has interfered with the reverse. Since the starter button and the reverse button are the same button, I think that somehow my relay to the headlight has interfered with that, so I'm wiring in a switch to disable my relay because I definitely remember reverse was working before I wired in my relay. This thing has some holes in it from when the previous owner rewired it, so I'll probably just reuse one of those. For this switch, it looks like I'll have to make it a little bigger. It almost never started cold very well before. Let's see. Hey, that's pretty darn good! Holy crap! I gotta turn it off before this place fills up with carbon monoxide, but hey, that was awesome! I don't know if that's my doing or if it's just a coincidence, but, well, let's get this button thrown in. All right, let's start it back up and see if it reverses. Of course, we'll flip our switch the other way so it works like normal. Seems to rev a lot better too. All right, now if we try and put it in reverse, it's gonna do the weird thing it was doing yesterday. See, it cuts out like immediately. And if we flip our switch, still nothing. Uh-oh. I spent a long time on this, checking all the fuses that I knew about, but there was one that I hadn't found yet, so let's cut to where I find out what's wrong with the darn thing. Oh, well, that would bloody well do it. Holy crap. Here, come take a look at this. God, it feels good to solve a problem for once. God, I need to find some wood to knock on. But man, does it feel good to solve a problem on this thing once and for all. This is definitely the issue. Again, I need to knock on some wood here. But holy crap, check this out. So right here under the seat, there's this fuse here, which apparently is the speed limiter fuse. And as you can see, the metal no connect there. That's definitely my issue. On the threads I was reading, a couple of people, I saw multiple places that was the issue. I wasn't sure that was the fuse until I looked up where the location of it was. And I was like, well, that's easy to check. Should have checked sooner. But anyways, I'll order up a new one of those and we'll have reverse again. So I wonder if I just used it too much when I backed into the garage, because I also read on a different thread that you're only supposed to use it for maybe 5 seconds at a time. And when I come up over the lip into my shop, that really puts a lot of load on it. I can feel it bog down. It was like, you know, like it bogs down. So I'm wondering if that's when it blew. But either way, good that we have a solution, and stupid that I have this useless button. Maybe I'll have to find something to wire that into. Maybe some sick underglow. I don't know. Maybe an exhaust cutout. That'd be fun. But a lot of work I don't want to spend on this thing. It looks like they don't really make them anymore, because it's not a standard fuse as you saw. So I'm just going to have to buy one on eBay, it would appear. But either way, that's really good to know. Wish I'd done that before I wired in the freaking switch, but at least the switch was easy to wire in. 10:35 all said and done. This thing keeps on nickeling and diming me. Getting really tired of it. But I think between the air filter and the headlight turning off when you start, it starts a lot better now. I think my next task after this fuse might be sealing up the exhaust leaks. I've peeked under here and I think there's a clamp about right here that is missing, but I got to look into that more, and I might just write it over to the exhaust shop and ask them if they can fix it. All right, well, that's in the mail. That makes me feel quite good. Oh, and before I let you go, I can tell you that next week you will see me diagnose the Volvo a little more. I need to get that thing fixed so I can take it camping more. I'm gonna crawl under there, take off the skid plate, see if I can figure out where exactly the leak's coming from. Because if it's like coming from a hose, that might be a little easier to repair than if it's coming from the rack itself. It's definitely coming from a hose down there near the rack, so it's going to be hard to do either way. But I did read if you go over a lot of bumps, as I might have done in the past, then it can result in some clips popping off and then releasing the power steering fluid. And so considering when this problem started, right after I went and did that, I wouldn't be too surprised if that was the issue we had. Fingers crossed I don't have to replace the rack. I really don't want to do that, but I will if I have to. We're actually ending on a high note. I'm super excited that I found the darn issue. Bye. If you enjoyed seeing what I was up to over the past week, you might consider hitting that subscribe button to see what I'm up to in the future. And hey, if you don't like what I'm up to, you can always hit it again and unsubscribe. If you really like this particular video, you might hit the like button. And if you didn't like this video, then hit the dislike button and leave a comment telling me what I could do better in the future.